to reciprocate. How much can I be expected to tolerate? So I started to think about the plans I made the day unpaid, and you just can't call a spade a spade. I watched you let it run my mood. Can't stop thinking of you. I watched you. So nice to know you. I'll be moving on. We started off in such a nice place. We were talking the same language. I open and I'm closing. You can't stand the thought of a real beating heart. You'd be holding, having trouble owning and admit that I am hoping. I watched you let it run my mood. Can't stop thinking of you. I watched you. So nice to know you. I'll be moving on, moving
I get tired of waiting. I'm just so impatient when it comes to you. I can tell that lately it's been getting hard to tell me I love you. Wish that I could right all my wrongs, but if I did, I wouldn't be writing this song. Oh, oh, oh. I know I've been away for too long, but if you wait another year, I'll be gone. Oh, 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 oh. Be gone, gone. I'll be gone. I'll be gone. It might be all in my head. I can't forget what you said, but I'll forget when I'm dead. And I'll be happy for you. You'll be all alone, just like you always wanted. You could go to Rome, just like you always wanted. I'll be dust and bones, just like you always wanted. Just like you always wanted. Just like you wanted. I'll be gone. I'll be gone. in my soul. Oh, the echoes in my soul. My weakness comes and goes, comes and goes.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. Damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall. I'm falling fast, up in here praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's fact. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall.
repeat, repeated. I'm overheated.
So what's up guys, I've been getting a lot of whispers and questions or messages about my StamDK PvP build, so I decided to make a build video on it. I'm gonna keep the beginning short and sweet and just get straight into the bread and butter of it, and then I'll go into explanations right after that. So starting off at the sets, I'm running Daedric Trickery, 5-piece on the back bar. Current lethal poisons can be damage health poisons or whatever other poisons you want them to be. On my offense bar, which is my front bar, the Black Rose Perfected Dual Wield. The Gaze of Sithis helmet. It's one of the mythic items. Magma Incarnate 1-piece for the recov. And Plague Break 5-piece at all times. For the food, I have Artaeum Takeaway Broth. For the traits, we have a Defending on our back bar, which is a Great Sword. A Nirn Main Hand Dual Wield with the Flame Enchant on it. A Charged Offhand with an Absorb Stam Enchant. You can make the enchant whatever else you want though. I just like the recov from it. And all of the body is impenetrable. The jewelry, I have 2 pieces infused and 1 robust, but it's better if you make them all infused, and then you can adjust the stats to what you need them to be. For the race, I am a Nord, because the ulti-gen is really nice, as well as the resistances. And for the Mundus Stone, I have the Serpent. For the skills on my offense bar, which is my dual bar again, it is Molten Whip, Venomous Claw, Noxious Breath, Flames of Oblivion, Quick Cloak, and Take Flight. For my back bar, I have Fossilize, Volatile Armor, Resolving Vigor, Green Dragon Blood, Rally, and Corrosive Armor. That's the general basis of the build right now. I use tripods as well, or you can use Essence Lingering Health as well. It doesn't really matter what you use, whatever pot you prefer to use. But I'm going to go ahead and explain some of the details of the build. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and explain some more of the details in the build. Now, for the sets, I think Daedric Trickery is one of the best sets you can possibly use. If you don't like Daedric Trickery, you can switch this out for another set called Iron Blood. Iron Blood is a really good defensive set, but between those 2 sets, those would probably be the 2 best ones you could use. Now the reason I use Daedric Trickery is because it gives you 1 of 5 random major buffs at all times. I'm sure you've heard this in other videos, but you get 2 of them at the same time, almost always. And it's between Expedition, which gives you a lot of speed, Protection, which reduces your damage by 10%, Mending, which gives you extra healing, Heroism, which gives you ulti gen, and Vitality, which gives you healing as well. Now one of the Dragon Knight skills already gives you major mending, but I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, this set's a really strong set. I choose to use Defending on my back bar so you don't get hit as hard as in your back bar when you're trying to heal yourself or kite around or whatever you need to do. I also use double damage poisons for some more DPS, but you can use whatever else you like. I use Black Rose Dual Wield on my front bar because it gives you 6% more damage and decreases your damage by 6% and is gives you stamina recuv as well, which is really nice. So I think this is a really underrated set that people still don't use for some reason, but you don't have to use it. You can use other things too, but I like this a lot more. If you want, you can also switch out your dual wield for sword and board to make that your offense bar or your defense bar. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of different ways to run this build, and you can change skills, and other people have run it in different ways as well. For my enchant, I have flame to proc burning every now and then, and the reason my offhand is charged is to practice flame glyph a lot more. Right now I'll get into the skills about that, so you can understand status effects a little bit more. If you want, you can make your offhand a shock enchant, or you can make it a disease enchant to get those status effects as well, but I don't think they're needed, but it will give you extra DPS if you do use them. The Gaze of Sith, this mythic item, is a really powerful item because it gives you a lot of armor and a lot of health recuv, so this pretty much carries your healing, gives you a shit ton of health, which is just an added bonus, and then the armor makes you extremely tanky and able to face tank a lot of damage. And since in this build you're using dual wield in 2H, you don't really block, so you're mostly face tanking the damage or rolling or whatever you need to do. If you decide to do sword and board instead, I would recommend using 2-piece magma incarnate instead. Now for the body, you can choose to make your cuirass and your legs both heavy. I just didn't because I wanted to save some resources and save some gold, but that would probably be a lot better for your resistances. My one piece is magma incarnate because I like the recovery it gives you since you're using both status, not status effects, more resource stats a lot. So you're using your magic and your stam, so having both of those recoveries is really nice. Plague Break, a lot of people consider this a meta set for a very long time. A lot of people think since it got nerfed it's a really shitty set now, but it's really not. In a 1v1 situation it's probably not as good anymore. Still does good amount of damage, especially since we're running a dot build, but the reason why I like this set so much is because it essentially makes everyone that you're fighting, especially if it's a group of VD proc. So if you got a lot of purge bots, like a bunch of Templars or Wardens, or even Necromancers just spamming the purge ability, they can all blow up and kill everyone around them pretty much. And another reason why it shines so much is when you kill somebody, the explosion also goes off, so the more enemies around them when they die, the more damage you do. And you can pretty much kill a whole group of people just if you single out a squishy. So it's a really underrated good set, I think. But if you want to, you can switch this set out for something like Burning Spellweave or Clever Alchemist or any other offense that you could think of. There's a lot of different sets you can use. If you do use Burning Spellweave, you do need to switch some of your skills up to proc it, obviously, but it's a really good set for DKs, and I think it's really underrated. For the jewelry, I would say you should have all this infused for more weapon damage stats or recuv stats if you decide to go that route. I have 2 weapon damage glyphs because I don't really think I need to sustain that much, since I'm already using the recuv food and the Mundus of Serpent. But you can just tailor that to how you like it. For the food, I'm using Artaeum Takeaway Broth because it gives you a lot of health recuv for your healing, because you're relying on a lot of your health recovering for healing on this build. And the stamina recuv as well. The Serpent, nothing needs to be said about that. It gives you recovery, and you just need it to sustain. If you want, you can run Werewolf as well for one of your ultimates, but I never use it. I just have it on standby because it's pretty fun to use sometimes. Now for the skills, depending if you do sword and board, dual wield, 2H, bow or whatever, you're always going to switch these skills out. But for this specifically, I'm going to go over these skills. Molten Whip is your main spammable, but the main reason that it shines so much is every time you use 3 Ardent Flame abilities, you get a really strong whip, which you can use to burst people down really fast whenever you fossilize them or take flight them or CC them in some way or catch them off guard. It also gives you free spell and weapon damage whenever you activate these skills, so it makes all your abilities hit harder if you just keep it active. Venomous Claw is the main damage of your build. They buffed the living crap out of it, so every 2 seconds it ticks, it deals 20% more damage, which is extremely broken. I'm pretty sure the skill will get nerfed in the future. But another reason it shines is it always activates the poison status effect, which is just an extra dot for you. If you want to play more defensive, you can switch this out for Burning Embers since it's a heal over time now, and it can always proc the burning status effect. Our next skill is Noxious Breath. It affects enemies with Major Breach, which reduces their resistances, so you need to have this skill if you want to hit people harder. It's also another dot, which is really useful. Flames of Oblivion is our next skill. You don't necessarily need this skill, but I like having it here because it gives us extra weapon and spell criticals so we can crit people more often. It also does a good amount of passive DPS, so I would recommend using it, but you don't have to use it. You can use something like Rending Slashes instead if you want to. Quick Look is our next skill. We use this since we are not using a source of snare removal, at least right now. But I also use this because it makes it easy to catch up to people if they're running away from you, and I guarantee you a lot of people will want to run away from you since you're going to put so much pressure on them. And it also activates your Black Rose Dual Wield. If you decide not to use the Black Rose Dual Wield, you can switch this for Rending Slashes or some other skill you want to use instead. Especially Wings. Wings are really good. Our ultimate is Take Flight. You can use Dawnbreaker instead if you want to. I would say Flawless Dawnbreaker would probably be better for duels since you get passive weapon spell damage from it, but Take Flight's really good for catching people off guard, and just overall a good around overall all around a good ability. Sorry I couldn't talk right there, but really good skill to have, really cheap. For our back bar we have Fossilize, which is our CC. You need to have this skill, it's a must have. The thing that makes this shine so much is you can CC people when they're mid dodge roll, so if someone's dodge roll spamming, you can CC them right in the middle and make them waste their stam, and then whip them or Dragon Leap or whatever you want to do to burst them when they're fossilized, because it's hard to react to. Well, Volatile Armor is a must have, mainly because it returns so much damage to your attacker. I would definitely keep this skill at all times in your bar. I wouldn't ever take it off. I mainly use it because it's a lot of passive DPS, but it does increase your resistances, but you can always get away with not using it. But the main reason that shines so much is because your Dragonate passive on the Draconic power will give you extra healing whenever this is active. This is a Draconic ability, whenever it's active it gives you extra healing. Our heal is obviously Resolving Vigor. It's just a must have, you need it. Green Dragon Blood I like to use instead of Igneous Shield. A lot of people use Igneous Shield for the major mending on demand, but since Daedric Trickery already gives that to you, I don't think it's really needed to use Igneous Shield, but it's still a really good skill to use. I interchange them every now and then. The main reason I like Dragon Blood so much is because it gives you a ridiculous amount of health recovery. Since we're running a health recovery build, it just adds more onto that, so we get more healing in general off of this, I think. And then the Vitality is an added bonus. It's minor Vitality, so you don't get this buff already from anything you're doing already. So if your Daedric Trickery procs Major Mending or Major Vitality, you get to stack all that healing together. Last skill is Rally. You can switch this for forward momentum if you want snare removal. I don't think there's a good way to go between the two. Either one's really good. You mainly use this for your Brutality buff, so you have more damage. But I won't say which is really better. I like them both a lot. I'm currently running with Rally right now because I like being more face tanky and like healing more, so that's what I'm using. But forward momentum is equally as good since you can kite around a lot more easily and don't get snared as much. Now the best skill that we have is Corrosive Armor. Now the reason this skill is so good is because you can catch people off guard with it all the time. Now what I mean by that is since it ignores everyone's spell and physical resistance, you're going to hit people like a truck, so any skill you use against them, which is direct damage, is going to nuke their health. Now people don't see the animation for this or listen to their combat cues on the sounds of it. You can catch people off guard because they'll keep on trying to wail on you and kill you, and since they do no damage to you, since it caps 3% of your max health is the damage you can take, you can pretty much just turn and burn and kill whoever you want, or face tank a group of people and kill one person you want to single target out, or whatever you want to do with the skill. I think this is the best skill, and it just makes you an absolute monster. I rely on the skill a lot. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you should really read all the passives of your skills so you understand them. I won't really go through all of them since you can read them yourself, but just make sure you read all the class passives for the DK so you understand why these skills are used and why they are so efficient. Especially dual wield and your 2H. Oh, also, just to say, I'm also a Nord. The main reason for this is because of the ultimate gen passive. Since I rely on corrosive armor so much, I think it's really good to be a Nord because you'll get that ultimate back faster. Imperial's equally as good. It's about the same with the ulti gen. You get the ultimate reduction, so it pretty much evens out to whatever you want to do with that. But I think Nord's the best to use. But you can use whatever race you want to. It doesn't really matter what race you are. Now for champion points, you can really use whatever you want to use. I like to go a little bit more offensive, so I have the 3 DPS slottables up here, which are Deadly Aim, Thaumaturge, and Master at Arms. And the Ironclad for defense. If you want, you can switch out one of the DPS ones for Resilience for critical resist. It doesn't really matter what the blue CP is. It's gonna be good either way. But I mostly play no CP BG, so the CP doesn't really matter to me. For the red, I have Boundless Vitality for more health, Rejuvenation for more recovery, Strategic Reserve for more health recovery, and Pain's Refuge for more damage resistance. Since you're getting affected by so many negative status effects, this gives you up to 20% damage resistance, which is a lot. So you just become an absolute monster of a tank with this. If you want, you can switch out some of these CP for things like Bracing, in case you're running Sword and Born and want to block more, or Celerity for more speed, or whatever else you want to do. Now, for Strategic Reserve and CP, I think it's really good because I want you to see how much health recovery I have outside of combat with that CP. So at 500 health, or 500 ult, if you decide to hold it, because that CP node will give you health recovery based around the amount of ult you have saved up, you get nearly 5,000 reco, which is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously this gets halved in PvP, so it's not as good. It's like 2,500 health reco, but it's still a lot, and you're going to get a lot of passive healing just by doing that. And since most of the time a lot of people forget to use their ultimate, or they want to save it for key moments, it's really good to have that passive health recovery. If you use your ultimate, you still have a lot already. It's still 2,708, and half that, it's like 1,300, 1,400, something like that. So you're still gonna have a lot of passive healing with that. For the potions, you can use tripods, which I like to use for burst heal, or lingering health potions if you just like popping those and chugging them. You can use whatever potions you like, honestly, it doesn't really matter. But I would definitely favor tripods, especially since it gives you the magic recover that you need to spam whip or other magic abilities you'll be using. Especially your heal, Dragon Blood. It's a nice burst heal if you can't activate Rally in time. And I think that's about all the details for the build. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments, but yeah, if you want other sets to use in place of the sets that are presented here, you can feel free to ask me and I'll give you some other recommendations for them. Or if there's something else you want me to tell you on it, I can fix the build around for you and we can figure something out that you might like instead, because this is a pretty awkward build to use sometimes. But yeah, hopefully you like the build and hopefully helped you out.